I voted 58 in favor and 50 opposed. The plan shall be adopted.
I didn't vote on that one. I didn't vote
Next
on that
plank
one.
is also a new plank. Excuse me? The request for written ballots.
Do you have a copy of the
Give us a
Constitution?
minute, we'll confer on that.
Can you look up the 16th Amendment?
Yeah, it's the income tax.
But it does it have anything to do with race?
It also repeals the all other persons will be counted as 3/5 for purposes of like the census for determining the Congress.
Yeah.
That's a red herring because
Is it?
the Constitution, as originally written, it said, quote, all other persons shall be counted as 3/5. So that was talking about slaves without saying slaves. So that for purposes of determining congressional representation, people who weren't citizens would be counted as 3/5 of the person, and it repealed that because it's no longer necessary. Now, repealing the 16th Amendment would put the all other persons would be 3/5, but it would be meaningless because there are no other persons to be all other persons. So legally it's meaningless, and he was saying that optically it's bad.
It is.
But it was insidious to pair that with the income tax. See what they did there? So if you want, because the 16th Amendment authorized the income tax.
I don't know. I can't do
But this time,
I'm
I
actually
find that
recording.
point not to be well taken. We will continue unless a suitable majority chooses to appeal from the decision of the chair. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure if this is a point of order or clarification, but in the rules number 6, perhaps somebody could explain what that means exactly. That might apply to the new church, I'm not sure.
Yeah, in the case of a challenge, the convention chair shall immediately direct a new polling of the delegation. The way that the chair interprets that is to be the equivalent. I find this rule to be unnecessary because it's covered in Robert's rules under the normal rules for division, which we have been following. The question that I brought up is not what to do to challenge a vote that has occurred, but whether you can, before a vote, request it to happen in a different form, ballot or roll call or some other form. And I wasn't prepared to answer that question in advance, so I want someone to look it up for me before I say that. But I do not believe that it would be appropriate to ask for a ballot to challenge the results of a vote, either by this rule or by Robert's rules, which calls for division as the mechanism. Thank you. All right, the next order of business is another amendment in this section. It's a new plank in the section on government, which would read, we support constitutional state sovereignty, including nullification of federal oversteps. Would the mover care to speak? Bruce Kerber? And anyone else who wishes to speak, please get to a microphone.
Bruce Kerber, CR 24. One of the beautiful things about a constitutional republic is that the states have
Why don't you use my camera?
And one of the reasons we're in the mess that we're in is because that is being swept under the rug and not appreciated by people that live in this country. And it'd be nice if they recognize that they have more control than they think they do. So it's an issue of state sovereignty, but it is constitutional. That state does have that sovereign right. And nullification is a way of protecting that right of state sovereignty against things that are imposed on them beyond what's constitutional. So, like for instance, Obamacare could be actually just nullified.
Right.
It has to go through the legislative areas. It's just like at the state level it could be nullified. So anything that's an intrusion could follow that.
Done now. Thank you. Now a speaker opposed. John Rowland, CR 27. I'm actually natively from East Tennessee, and the very poor organized against this amendment. What Lincoln did was essentially keep a federal union together against this idea. This idea is why the western half of my state and others went into secession and fought the Civil War, on which Iowa and East Tennessee were on the correct side. This is on the wrong side. That's simply what I have to say about this one.
Thank you, Speaker. Now another in favor.
I think, Houseman, CR 40. I just want to point out that the Constitution is the highest law on the land, but it gets authority from the states that ratified it originally. So the states are meant to be a check and balance against federal power. So I want to point that out.
Now, Speaker, are you opposed? Or?
I oppose. Mm-hmm.
You may speak.
This is the first time I've ever been to this Republican.
Yeah, please give your name and.
Oh, I'm sorry. Debbie Kettleson, and I'm from Linn. I don't have a number. This is the first time that I've ever been here to the Republican convention on any level. I am hoping to get more involved. But I have to tell you that I was very disillusioned when I came here about my government. Now I've become very disillusioned about the Republican Party. I don't understand. I have this feeling that we're going off the deep end. Our planks are generalities and ideas, and now we're talking about getting rid of amendments and how we are going to appear to the rest of to the Democrats and to the other Republicans out there. I'm very disillusioned, and I think that you all really need to think more seriously about what you're proposing and what you are voting
Ms. Speaker, thank you. Are you
I would do more research on that. I don't know.
My name is Andrew Lyons, and I'm from Cedar Rapids 42, and I'm in favor of this because we have a 10th Amendment for a reason. And the Constitution, the founders of this country did not want the federal government to micromanage the states. The 10th Amendment says that anything not granted, any powers not granted to the federal government within the Constitution is left up to the states or the people, thus not being micromanaged from Washington. We are sovereign states, a part of a union, and so that's why I support this.
Is there another speaker that would like to speak against this plank? Seeing none, we will now go to a vote. All those in favor of this plank, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please indicate by saying nay.
Nay. Division.
Sounds like to me the ayes may have it. All right, division.
Put that plank up on, I think it was 28 on
All right,
vouchers on
please raise your hands for aye.
I don't know who put
It
that
was her.
Pardon?
Over.
To oppose it? This is opposed. Are we supporting it right now or opposing it? Yeah,
You better put your arm up.
These are the ayes.
You'll regret it if you don't. Federal government doesn't do anything over stuff that does anyway.
All right. Now those that are opposed, please indicate by raising your hands. By a vote of 63 for and 45 against, the plank does pass.
time Jason was going to do this, and I looked up the rules, and here's what the chair finds. Normally in Robert's rules, ballots are allowed and preferred for issues where secrecy is important, where the anonymous nature of a vote will make delegates more likely to vote what they really believe. That does not appear to be the case here. The issue is a matter of questioning the count. Calling for a ballot after a vote is taken is not allowed. The means is division. However, on any matter before the body, a majority of the body may request a vote by ballot be taken. That is, before the vote is taken, a simple majority can request a vote by ballot. Having said that, I said I would remain neutral on platform issues, and I will continue to do so. But as chair, I feel it is my duty to speak to issues of order. While it may be allowed, the chair would not encourage us to take ballot votes for the following reasons. One, we have a limited number of ballots. I'm not sure where mine are now after the voting happened, so the chair would not normally vote anyway, though it could. Two, it takes longer. The time it took us to find who was elected, if we did that for several votes, this convention would roll along very smoothly, would begin to bog down timelines. Now, we do have time, so you can make that judgment. But the other thing I would say is suggesting that a vote by ballot will be more accurate, to some degree, calls into question the credibility of my team. And I'm going to suggest that if you think we're not doing the right job of counting, we could appoint other people as tellers to do the counting. The folks up here are timing, following Robert's rules, keeping track, and helping me keep organized. So if you would like to volunteer to relieve them of that and have a teller team to do counting, that actually would make things easier. But for those reasons, while it is allowed, and I would not rule it out of order, I would encourage us not to, as a general rule, take these votes by ballot. If there's some issues that think that are so important it will be so close, feel free, if the majority of you choose to, we will in fact vote by ballot against the better instincts of the chair. That having been said, we are going to pause briefly. We have someone here who wishes to read a statement from our national committee map, and I think it was Bernie Hayes. Bernie, are you in the room? So we'll bring Bernie up to read a statement from our national committee map. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Bernie Hayes from CR 26. This is a letter from our Republican National Committee man, Steve Scheffler, for March 1. Dear friend and delegate, thank you for your participation in the Republican Party at the grassroots level. You fully understand what is at stake this election year. Your involvement on behalf of freedom and liberty is crucial to saving our republic. We dare not wake up on November 7th to find that President Obama and Mike Ronsall are still in the driver's seat. I know that I can count on you to do your part in working hard to get candidates elected all the way from the courthouse to the State House to the White House. Victory will be ours if we are united in our mission to elect principled constitutional conservatives. We must not get diverted by a small minority within our party that are intent on using personal attacks, character assassination, and slander to obtain their selfish goals. Make no mistake about it, the radical left will be organized and will be using everything at their disposal to try to destroy our candidates. Therefore, it is absolutely critical that we network and get our friends and neighbors involved in helping to elect our candidates, whether it be door knocking, walking in a parade, making phone calls, or giving money. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for the great honor that you bestowed upon me by electing me as your Republican National Committee man in 2008. I made a promise to you that I would not be a bench warmer. I also promised that I would not be a go-along to get-along committee man who made no impact on behalf of Iowa at the RNC. I have kept those promises. Unlike the precedents of the past, I have traveled our state far and wide, attending hundreds and hundreds of county central committee meetings and county fundraisers and functions. I've also been willing to assist our candidates, whether that be by phone calling or door knocking. I also promised that I would take on the Republican establishment, and I've kept that promise too. I found that change sometimes comes slowly at the RNC. With that in mind, immediately upon my election, I was one of the co-founders of both the Republican National Conservative Caucus and the Republican National Committee Steering Committee. This was a revolutionary idea at the RNC, and a concept that former Chairman Michael Steele did not like and tried to stamp out. I was part of a small group that signed the discharge petition that forced Mr. Steele to allow the full committee to debate resolutions that puts our party on record as supporting, whether it be opposition to Obamacare, opposition to cap and trade, opposition to the National Popular Vote Compact, exposing the United Nations agenda, and many, many more. I've been a co-signer of every single resolution that has come before the RNC. As a member of the Rules Committee, I fought vigorously to defend Iowa's first-in-the-nation caucus status, a task that is ongoing year after year. In addition, at the Rules Committee, I fought to get rid of the gender requirement for chairman and co-chairman of the RNC. I'm also working with other conservatives to work to diminish the voting strength of 6 territories. All 6 have 3 RNC representatives, like all the 50 states. My longtime leadership in working to convert the Iowa Republican Party from a liberal establishment club to a very conservative party is well documented. In 2011, Campaign and Elections magazine rated me as one of the 10 top most influential Republicans in Iowa. I think my record speaks for itself. I am a staunch constitutional conservative who believes that all our rights are bestowed upon us by God, not by the government. My record reflects that I have been the most actively engaged national committee man that Iowa has ever had, both at the state and national level. I would like to humbly solicit your vote for the state convention in June when I seek re-election. Thank you and have a great, productive county convention today. Sincerely, Steve Scheffler.